right, guys, welcome back to another episode of MURG Mayhem, where one take will cause mayhem. Today, in this episode, it's 12:30 Tuesday morning. Um, I'm making an episode today just because later in today I won't be able to make it, just due to scheduling conflicts and other things like that. So we're going to talk about a lot of stuff here and now. I'm going to be joining with a special guest today. And yeah, I'm really excited. Can't wait to get into it. And yeah, I'm excited to go ahead and do this. One of my friends, we're going to be talking a lot about March Madness, and as well as tennis. So I'm really excited to do this. Um, and I've been wanting to do this for a while. I just didn't know what to expect, what to do, and yeah, let's get into it here. All right, guys, welcome back. This is my good friend Lauren. We're gonna have a lot of stuff to talk about today. She's gonna be our tennis correspondent throughout the year, and hopefully years to come, because I haven't been in the game in tennis in a long time. And yeah, well, Lauren, welcome. I'm glad you're able to make it.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here on a crisp 1:30 in the morning
Yeah.
on a on a Monday.
Well, technically Tuesday. Technically
Uh,
Tuesday. Come on.
Excuse me.
How dare you? Anyway, um, yeah, we're gonna talk about March Madness first. I know tennis is your specialty. Jesus. We're gonna talk about March Madness. Crazy tournament this year on the first day.
Yeah, my bracket didn't make it a single round. I mean, I had bracket on bracket, and I was like, I'll
Brackets on
choose some
brackets on brackets
underdogs.
on. Yeah.
And like I'll pick some underdogs, and I mischose along with 99% of everybody else.
Yeah,
Guys.
there was one guy, Bijan Robinson, one of the running backs for Atlanta, had every had like 17 picks in a row right. So he knew that the Mormons were going to lose against the DeQuesney. I guess that's their name.
Duquesne.
Yeah, that one.
Duquesne.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
But I will say Duquesne's game against BYU was insane. I mean, literally the first minute of the game, this guy comes out BYU. Also, excuse me, I don't know players by heart. I'm just
it's
I
BYU.
just love
It's BYU. Not
I just love pro
nobody from
sports.
the NBA is going to go to BYU other than Jimmer Fredette. That's about it. So
So BYU, they come out strong, and by strong I mean this guy forgot to dribble. Like he forgot how to dribble. And next thing you know, he's getting tripped up on the free throw line. I mean, I like it was insane. It it was just
but yeah, that
insane.
was
And then I think they hit overtime, didn't they?
uh
I want to say
n-
they did.
no.
No.
Mm,
Mm,
I don't think they did. No. It
well,
nope. They just beat they looks like I'm looking at box scores here just for stats and numbers and analytic purposes. No, they played both halves. Duquesne, Duquesne DeQuesney. That's a rap name. DeQuesney's a rap name.
DeQuesne,
Yeah.
yeah.
DQ. Yeah, they just. I mean, they Brigham Young or BYU or the Mormons scored 37, scored 37 in the second half, but it just wasn't enough. Um,
Yeah, they uh, from what I remember, they were kind of missing their shots a little bit, and they were really consistent in the first half, I will say, but I don't know. Their shooting abilities just took a hit in that second half, and Duquesne really they really pulled through in the end. So,
but yeah, that was one of the first upsets that happened in the tournament. And
and
Northwest,
that was when my bracket fell
that was the
immediately.
first one. I don't know, like that. Not for. I mean, for me, I knew that BYU's not really. They're not really a athletic school. Um, so I knew, like, I don't know. I just felt like. Plus, I've seen Duquesne in the tournament before. Um, Northwestern didn't really shock me at all. Even though they went into overtime, it didn't shock me as much just because Northwestern's a team that they're a sleeper team in football, baseball. Don't doubt the journalists at Northwestern.
And honestly, I for FAU, I mean, you make it to overtime, right? And it was it was intense. The entire
Oh
game was
yeah.
pretty intense. And then they're like, "Oh, we made it to overtime. Time to relax and not give it our all." And they completely dropped the ball in overtime, and Northwestern just
Well, I think.
slams them.
Well, I mean, they did go on a run. Northwestern did. Um,
Mhm.
and with basketball, it's always a game of runs and getting timely stops. And when they get when they get on fire like that, the overtime score was 19-7. So obviously, I know that foul shots toward the end to try to slow the game down when it doesn't fucking matter. Um, that helped them out getting other more points. But I mean, the first round didn't really shock me, other than Oakland, Oakland getting getting the victory over Kentucky, and this guy, his name is Golke. This who whoever this dude is, he's a fifth-year senior playing with children almost. This grown ass
I
man,
did see that.
this
I did
grown
see
man
that.
is playing with, I mean, I guess Kentucky, yeah, he's playing against kids, but like during the 20, as far as like his whole season, like CBS doesn't have his season total, but like he shot um 23s and he made 10 of them. Yeah, he was Steph Curry out. Steph Curry out there. Um, as far as his stats are concerned, I mean he's like probably the oldest guy playing right now. But as far as like 3-point percentage for the year, um, he was a 37% shooter from three. He shot like he shot 360 of them, 364 threes, and made 137. That dude was shooting it. That dude shoots. That dude, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what happened with Kentucky there. I mean, they've been an up and down team all year, and I mean, when you have a guy that just comes out of nowhere and just shoots like that, you know, old man Steph
Yeah.
Curry in college, yeah, old
Yeah, but
Steph.
I mean, there's 5 players on that court. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't rely on one guy. And like if your defense falls through, I mean, there's only so much one person can do. But
And it's not like, and it's, I mean, the rotations that I don't think Kentucky played a lot of, like, it was basically the starting five and then three guys. Dillingham came off the bench, didn't really shoot too great. He only got 10 points. He's supposed to be a top 5 draft pick going into the draft. Um, I mean, he didn't have a great game. He shot 22%. So when you have that along with a guy that came off the bench, scored 32, and then the starters played very well on the other team. Whew, yeah, I mean yeah, there was no shot. Plus they had momentum going in the second half, and
right.
I mean Reeves for Kentucky has been, I feel like, their best player all year. Um, he did score 27 and shot 50% from three. Everything now is a 3-point shot. That's all they care about is 3-point percentages. And yeah, it's unfortunate for Kentucky, and everyone's saying Calipari should be fired. This dude, do you know how many guys he sends to the NBA after 1 year? Like
How many?
like probably 15. He sends a fucking lot. Okay, I don't
Dang.
think. Yeah, like I know that like, I mean 15 is an exaggeration, but like Kentucky and Duke and North Carolina, those three schools basically have more NBA players in the NBA currently than most likely the whole Big Ten combined.
Yeah, and I mean in this game specifically, like their free throw percentage, 75%. Like, and they still managed to lose. I mean,
I mean, Oakland. Who knows how many? I mean, that Goalkey kid is a fifth-year senior, so
Yeah,
obviously he's got age.
and he was a major scorer for that team. I mean,
Well, it's just
32 compared to 17.
well, I mean, if they're playing man to man and they're running off the screens, like no, you didn't want to double team this guy at all, like,
Exactly.
and if but at the same time, it's like if you don't run, practices like that, I mean, they probably have, but we're not in the fucking gym to watch. But yeah, that was it for that game. I mean, I feel like that game just stunned everybody. Um, like you remember when Loyola Chicago won in the tournament a few years ago? This like small Catholic school out of nowhere, and they rode down to like the Elite Eight or something
Yeah,
crazy.
and I
You
mean
know,
completely unrelated, but it's literally like TCU's run in college football last year.
right?
Literally came out of left field, made it to top 4, and then got pummeled. So I mean,
And after the Kentucky, they played NC State, what,
mhm.
yesterday, and I mean that went down to the wire too, overtime. Golke did. He's continued to shoot well. Um, my coworker was like, "Oh, he didn't have enough to play that he played against Kentucky." Blah blah blah. Instead of scoring 32, he scored 10 less.
Like,
Um,
oh, big whoop.
but NC State, I mean, Burns Jr. Has been one of the better players in the ACC. I think, and the NC State's in ACC. I'm pretty sure. Um,
Yeah, there.
but he's been one of the better players this whole year, as far as big men. I mean, I watched him play a few games, and the amount of footwork that this dude has for being 6'9". I mean, it's an undersized center in the NBA, but there's no centers anymore. It's positionless now. But as far as a small ball center, this guy
Mhm.
put up 24 and 11. Um, a wall in the paint. He did get a block. He probably could have gotten more, but um, I mean the amount of importance he is on offense to draw a double team in the paint to kick out. Um, I mean, when he gets going in the paint, it's pretty much over. But yeah, great game. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Oakland uh, doesn't have that Cinderella run. But I mean, no one really. I mean, that was their championship was against Kentucky, and they won.
Yeah.
So they're
And I mean,
probably
and these teams were evenly matched. I mean, evenly matched. So it really just came down to the wire, and North Carolina
and
State
if
just took it.
if
So
Kentucky didn't lose, I mean, they would have gone and like in if I don't know if I'll be able to show my screen here. Um, I don't think so. Probably not. Oh, okay, yeah. I am able to share my screen here in a way. So I'm in this. Houston and Duke will play the winner of NC State Marquette. If Kentucky did not lose, um, Kentucky probably would have played the winner of Houston and Duke. And Houston has been one of the better teams in the American Athletic Conference for the past like 5 to 10 years. Um, Unfortunately, Memphis, my home college and the college I go to, um,
well,
oh my God,
it's okay.
it's disappointing, very very disappointing, um,
It's okay. Florida State didn't even make it, so I guess I can't really talk.
to say the least. But yeah, say the least. Like we Memphis, great in the regular season. We can play D. We can play defense for sure, but can we score and make free throws when it counts? Absolutely not. But yeah, we got to get better at that. But but
And
yeah, and then
listen, speaking of Houston, like I need to talk about that game with Texas A&M last night. I mean,
that was, I mean, sorry to cut you off. That's the score was 195.
yeah.
And that game was actually
And
close. The next person that scored, I mean, Charleston in Alabama was close. They scored 109, but
mhm.
very rarely
Yeah,
do we see 100-point games in college
it was
basketball.
and let me tell you, like, both of these teams, they were missing their shots. Like for the first half, I mean, both of them were just kind of struggling. I believe Texas A&M went 26-41 with their free throws, and I feel like that kind of really made the difference in the end, because if they had been making these free throws, honestly, they might have taken it,
Yeah.
if I'm being real with you. And, they scored that three-pointer at the end of the second half of regulation, and then they just kind of like lost this consistency in overtime. And, unfortunately, like, instead of forcing a foul, they ended up fouling Houston, and it's crazy because Houston had 4 players fouled out by the end of overtime, and 2 of these players were their top scorers.
Oh
And
yeah. Mm-hmm.
like, it's insane. I think one of them put up like 30 points,
Yep.
and he got fouled out, I think, halfway through overtime, and they still managed to pull through, which
Well,
is insane.
I mean, that just shows how complete of a team Houston is. Not only they played it in Memphis. I'm just glad no one got shot. Okay, that's all I'm happy about. Okay, I'm glad nobody got shot downtown. Um, thank
You
you,
sh- you,
Jesus.
you, you should have been there. What do you mean?
No, not with my luck. Nah, dude. No. You know what? Thank God I was working. Thank you, Jesus. I was working. Um, but yeah, I
Dude, you should
mean,
have been there.
but I mean, Houston's been one of the better teams offensively the past like 4 years now. And with Texas A&M, they have I watched the game when they played Kentucky, and this Radford kid, um, Southpaw Tyrese Radford, he was the leading scorer, and I noticed that since that game, and I started paying attention to him. His free throw percentages are not the greatest, which
They
is
really aren't.
like
And
he's a dynamic scorer, can shoot he didn't shoot a lot of threes. He's a slasher, shoot the mid range pretty well, but I mean, if you can shoot 15-footers all day, I mean, free throws, you're just I mean, he's not like the worst free throw shooter, but I mean, like he went 6 of 11, so that's 5 points there that he could have made to make the game closer. That would have at least made from 95 to 100, at least tie it. But
yeah, there were definitely a lot of errors when it came to, you know, how they conducted their plays. I mean, they could have easily tied it up, but there was just such inconsistency, especially with the end. Both teams just became so aggressive, and like, they were playing with a lot of passion, and they were trying to make these plays, and going 100 miles an hour. And I feel like they were stressing so much to the point where, like, they were missing their shots. They were missing easy shots.
I think they were just. I mean,
So
not only. I mean, there was probably some nerves, probably, but
absolutely.
as far as I mean, they probably wanted to they wanted to contribute so bad to where they wanted to cement one of their names in college basketball in the tournament history. But I think there's a I think his name is Will Taylor. I think Wade Taylor. Wade Taylor the
Mhm.
fourth has been one of the best 3-point shooters in the SEC. Um, he shot he that if he was on, he shot terrible. 5 of 26 from the field, 3 of 13 from three. So like he was not a factor in this game, which is unfortunate as far as like trying to be a decoy. They probably could have used him like that, but that's a big part of it. Their second best player on the team or second best scorer, their best shooter, did not shoot well. But anyway, that happens. I mean, as far as like, do they go to the NBA? I'm not really sure. It just depends on what some of the NBA teams need. But yeah, that was a gut punch game for Texas A&M.
Yeah, and
But
I mean, it was definitely a nail biter, like, throughout. Texas A&M was able to come back from a 12-point deficit. I think there was literally a minute and change left on the clock, and they somehow
you just
pulled
pulled it out.
through. And
Yeah.
yeah, and then I think like all the effort they were putting in the second half, like, it really came to bite them in overtime. And unfortunately, they couldn't pull another miracle three, and they just lost it. It was definitely really sad though, because I was rooting for him. Like, I love a good underdog moment, and unfortunately, it just didn't happen.
Um, and then another game that was really interesting to watch was what was St. Mary's and Grand Canyon. St.
Hmm.
Mary's. There was one game I was watching, and there's one episode that I had this play in. They were playing Gonzaga. I kid you not.
Yeah.
I don't know if the ref just had a blind moment, but like a St. Mary's guy tried to save the ball. His foot was out of bounds. Looking at the ref, trying to save it back in. Foot out. Yeah, it cost Gonzaga a game in their conference, and Gonzaga hasn't been the Gonzaga team that in years prior.
Mm.
Um, I know that last year they had Chet Holmgren. Yeah, no, that was 22. Um, yeah, this was a different Bulldog team, but they did beat Kansas. They did beat Kansas by
Pretty heavily.
yeah. I mean it was, but back to the Grand Canyon St. Mary's game. I was not expecting Grand Canyon to win. I don't think anybody did either.
Mm-mm.
Um, but I mean that just shows why March Madness is arguably one of the best postseason sports, or one of the best postseasons in sports history, just because you
Yeah.
you never know what's going to happen.
And I mean, they put up a great fight against Alabama. The first half was definitely, you know, they put up points,
Yeah,
but ultimately, they just got outplayed. That's really it. And definitely at the end, you had Mark Sears kind of rally his troops and be like, "Listen, bro, we can't be
yeah,
losing to Grand Canyon."
put the
Like,
team on. He put the team on his back,
he really
um,
did. He really did.
and just also with Grand Canyon, you're not going to play competition like this. So at the same time, for them, they're in a way kind of outmatched, but um,
Yeah, and it was really evident, especially towards the end of the second half. Like, they really rely on Grant Foster. I mean, they put so much faith, and rightfully so, because he did put up 29 points. He was pretty consistent throughout the entire game, but he played the entire game and he was burned out, and you can tell.
yeah,
And because of the shortcomings of the other members, like, it was getting to him for sure.
yeah.
And at the end, I think he did get fouled out. I'm not 100% sure on that,
He
but
had he had 5 turnovers.
yeah,
He had 3 fouls, but um, he
it
had
was
he had two shy of the double double. I mean, he was there. There was, I mean, there was nothing they could do about it. Um,
yeah,
39 minutes played. Um, well, I would say he had like a 1 minute rest or something. But
yeah.
yeah, Baylor lost. That's another Baylor against Clemson. Um, Definitely not. That's another bracket buster. I feel like too, just
That was a big
because
upset. Yeah.
Baylor has um, like um, like Houston has been a top 15 team the past 3 or 4 years. Also, this was also in Memphis.
You're missing out on these games. Hello.
No, I'm not. I choose life. Okay. um, but yeah, Baylor got outscored in the first half, and they tried to come back. And um, I mean, Chase Hunter led his team with 20. He also played 39 minutes. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened, if it was just great shot making by Clemson. I mean, Chase Hunter went 5 of 10, shot extremely well from the three. Um, he was, and then as far as the others, um, that's just about. I mean, there wasn't anybody else that scored over double digits for Clemson, and then with Baylor they
Yeah.
had 2 20 pointers, but um, Dennis led the team in scoring with 27, but he went 9 of 21.
Yeah, they
As,
definitely took a hit in their free throws for sure.
and
And
as
I
far
think that helped cost them.
I mean, as far as three free throw attempts, yes.
Yeah.
Um, and who knows, maybe Clemson was getting more of the foul calls because now everything is scripted. Um, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it was an even called game. I just feel like Clemson just made the timely plays and the time stops where they needed to. Um, Now, as far as the teams that are still in it, I feel like we're gonna talk a little bit about like my final four that I had with my
Predictions.
yeah my my bracket. I have hold on, let me actually make sure. I know I have Purdue winning it all. Um,
I think
just
in one of mine I had UConn, if I'm not mistaken.
I, I don't
But
even know if I had them. I don't even know if I had UConn in my. I think I
Final
had.
Four?
I think I might have, but I put North Carolina beating UConn. That might not. It's probably not going to happen because North Carolina barely came out. No, just kidding. I was thinking about another team. Yeah.
I'm definitely excited to see the North Carolina Alabama game. I think that one might become another nail biter. Like I don't know. Like with the way Alabama played the other night, I definitely
Oh,
think
I had Auburn and North Carolina in my Final Four with Duke and Purdue.
that's embarrassing.
That's a yeah. What happened? Auburn
Yeah, that was oof.
Auburn lost to nerds.
Yeah.
Like I mean, credit to to Yale. I mean, they probably had their nerds like on the fucking bench. Like,
They were calculating the
hey
Pralba
coach, come here. There's a he can't go left. According to my calculations here on my right hand, um, yeah, make him go 3 steps, pass it, and then there's gonna be a double down. There's gonna be a down screen somewhere so he can come back to his left to the 3 point left corner. Yeah.
yeah, whoever was calculating the parabola of their shots was on it. Like because
This guy's stride length on the fast break is like is about 13 feet. We got to make sure when we press, we have to have two on the sideline at all times when he's on the right side.
it was definitely not what I was expecting the outcome to be.
No, and what?
Honestly, if I'm gonna be so for real with you, I didn't even know Yale had a basketball team. Like, if I'm being super honest, let alone beating
Oh my
Auburn.
god!
But
But
hey,
I mean,
whatever.
the Auburn coach is one of the best in the SEC.
Clearly not.
Well, okay, they're ranked. They were fourth in their pool. Okay, but I mean, look, Kentucky was third, and they lost to Oakland. He's like
Yeah.
Yale at one point. I think it was a few years ago where they went to like this Sweet 16 and went crazy. But I mean, like Auburn, it's crazy because they're everyone knows them as a great defensive team. Obviously, they just weren't able to put up enough points in the second half and get on a run toward the late of the game. But that's that was that's here near or there. But now, as I look at the bracket now, um, I really think that it's going to be UConn, North Carolina, um, and and that championship game, and then Purdue, and I think Purdue's going to get a good test from Tennessee. Um, I do think that Texas, Tennessee played Texas, who's going to be in the SEC
Yeah.
this upcoming year, right? So,
Hmm.
and which as far as Texas, I mean that's pretty big for them. I mean they lost to Tennessee, but it was only by 4 points. So,
Yeah. I definitely feel like Purdue's gonna win the Midwest. Um,
well,
in
is it
terms of the South, I don't know.
the I think I'm rolling with I really think Duke has a chance to win it just because of their of their roster that they do have. Um,
I think Houston definitely has some things they need to clean up before they ultimately play Duke. But that one's gonna be a nail biter for sure. I definitely
well, it's just
feel like
the
it's
the I think a lot of these guys have on the Duke side have been with the team multiple years. I think because
yeah.
I've seen I don't know if Jeremy Roach has a brother, but I remember that name. Yeah, well, he's a senior. Yeah, I remember him. Um, when they played against James Madison, you know, but McCain had 30 points, so that's if he didn't play, they would have won still. Um, but yeah, I mean, Filipowski is going to be a lottery pick coming into this year's draft. Um, he's 7-footer. I mean, he can shoot the three, and he's just an inside presence. So it's going to be hard for I feel like Houston because I don't think they're going to have the size for that. Um,
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have the skill. I just think, with how hard they had to play against A&M, I don't think they're gonna be able to clean up a lot of their mistakes in time to give Duke a run for their money. I mean, shit, prove me wrong, but
and
that's
I'm
just the way I see it.
I'm trying to find their quote unquote big man because it looks like their front line, their forward is 6'8". That's not going to
Hmm.
cut it against a team like Duke. Um,
Fair.
and I mean, at the same time, it's Houston, so it's not like they're going to have like a bunch of people just come in because they're going to go to the to the Kentuckys, the Dukes, and some of the bigger Big Tens and some of the bigger ACC schools. So I really think Houston's going to end there. I mean, they were able to get to the Sweet 16, but at the same time, you got to play. But yeah, Duke, and then I mean, hey, if Iowa State beats UConn, I'm gonna lose my shit. That's all I'm gonna like. You know,
Well, I mean, it is March Madness, so you never know.
you never really know, but UConn was ranked number one the most of the year, and collectively, it looks like they're playing well. There was one guy on ESPN. He was like, UConn could make Mike Greenberg, who's was on ESPN radio for at one time with his show Mike and Mike, and he's got an ESPN show called Get Up. He was like, I really think that well, at least it was in the thumbnail of a YouTube video. He was like, I think that UConn could be in playoff team in the Eastern Conference. Hold on, and I'm trying to look up what world that could be in. Um,
Hmm.
my dad got a universe book. Okay, it's not. I don't even think it's going to be. I don't think a universe is going to be in that book that can tell me that UConn, this college team, can make in the NBA. Like, do you know how many bench guys that like that's on Kentucky that didn't play? They played.
Listen,
They played 1 minute. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of those guys not even making an NBA roster. Okay, if this
well,
team
listen,
was here,
listen. If they can make it, so can I.
I mean WNBA for sure. Okay.
I'm like 5'1" for context, so
I mean,
I mean, hey,
If Muggsy Bogues could play at 5'3" and not score the ball to save his life, but play defense, sure, you can do that too.
I
But
got it.
but yeah, March Madness. I mean, it's always. I think it's one of the craziest it's been in a while.
it's
Um,
it's 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 pretty
I mean,
mad, if you will.
um, so I mean, last year mostly it was pretty evident which teams were going to win. This year, a lot of upsets happened. Um, I saw Purdue winning it. As far as like every team that's in here is concerned, who do you think's got it?
I don't know. I mean, Purdue's been doing pretty consistent, so I might have to agree, but I don't think it's going to be that easy. I feel like maybe UConn might hurt him a little. But hey, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But yeah, I mean, this is March Madness. We're going to transition into your expertise here. The Miami Open is going on. I'm not really a big tennis guy. The only tennis people I really know, if you hear a lot of these clicks, I'm definitely. Oh my god. Okay, I'm
Closing all your tabs.
Oh yeah, I have like 15 of them open right now. Yeah, because it doesn't like just show one and then close out. No, it just builds up, builds up, builds up. Yeah.
You got a lot going on over there.
But yeah, this is day 7, 8 of the tournament.
Yeah, it should be. So the Miami Wells, this is actually one of my first years watching it. I'm gonna be so for real because I didn't know it existed. I was typically like a mainly Grand Slam watcher,
like Wimbledon and US Open and
yeah,
something like that. Okay.
yeah, and but then I saw the ATP World Tour, the Masters 1000 like is going on, and Miami Wells just kind of popped up, and I'm like, yo, let's learn a little bit more about this. So,
right.
One of the main differences is like the Miami Wells, which is like similar to the Indian Wells. They're pretty much tournaments that players can use to increase their rankings, and so there's a lot that goes into these tournaments. Some people play every single one, and others play one or two. So, it's really just about how far can you make it, how much can you increase your standing.
Right.
Just balls to the wall, go for it. The biggest difference that I saw that it did kind of shock me a little bit was that the men play best of 3 instead of playing the typical best of 5. And what I found out was actually the ATP had to change this from best of 5 to best of 3 because a lot of their finals players
were exhausted toward the end.
Kind of. Well, actually, what was going on was that they were dropping out from upcoming tournaments and Grand Slams because they were playing such grueling, taxing finals in these,
minor tournaments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like an example literally happened today. Andy Murray ruptured a ligament in his left ankle during his match. Unfortunately, he lost. Regardless of the injury, but he was taken out, unfortunately, and here we go, losing a previous Olympic gold medalist. So, it's stuff like that that just kind of, these tournaments are so important, but...
And it's, like you said, with the, stars aren't playing, like Djokovic, kind of saying that he's trying to balance his personal and professional schedule.
Iconic.
Basically, what that means, guys, is that he's the fucking GOAT, and he doesn't have to worry about a precious Miami tournament. Okay,
he's too good. I mean, his ATP ranking, he's 1,000 points above Alcaraz. So
he's what, like 36 or something? Like he's 36, the same age as Murray. Yeah. And this dude started he started coming up in 07, but he wasn't like, that wasn't his I would say, like, when he's in his prime. Like Federer was I would say, or at least what you would say would probably be the king of the 2000s.
Yeah, I'd probably say Federer was definitely a main contender. It was him, and then
Nadal.
Djokovic and Nadal kind of came up together. And for, I'd say, a good 10 years, it was
pretty much just Federer, and then Federer.
It was a three-way match.
Oh, like for number one, yeah.
It was definitely a constant battle between them. But the really cool thing about these tournaments, specifically in 22, 23, and 24, is that we're seeing a lot of upcoming
stars.
Right, and there's a lot of variety in between them, in between like the way that they play and the way that they're conducting themselves, and like you're seeing a whole bunch of new faces, and it's fun because you're seeing people like Ben Shelton. He made his debut, his Grand Slam debut, I believe, in the U.S. Open,
Mhm.
and he went toe to toe with Djokovic.
Right.
So like
Yeah, that was yeah. I remember something. Boom.
iconic. But I mean, Shelton went toe to toe with
Yeah.
big names in this game, and he held his own against Djokovic. Unfortunately,
Right.
Novak is Novak, but it just goes to show like these new contenders have so much to offer to the sport.
Yeah.
Um,
And
you
I'll,
know,
and it's like for me, like Andy Murray has been in the top. I mean, he's not in the top 20. He hasn't been in his health and his mental health has been a contributing factor for these past few years. But from the span of like 2010 to about 2017, 2018 or so, he was like a top 50 player.
yeah. Well, he did hold the number one seed for a bit,
Yeah.
and then he eventually won gold at the Olympics. So I mean, you know, such a great player, but your
I
health
mean,
comes first.
right. I mean, for sure, he's going to be one of the better. I see your. Sorry, go down. Emerald is also going to be an apparent guest, I guess, from time to time.
My
And
cat is a paid actress.
but yeah, I'm also glad because then it's pushing not only pushing the sport forward, but the new generation of tennis is going to be here, especially for the women because
Oh yeah.
Serena did retire a few years ago, and
It was actually really recent.
really because it like on at least I was trying to look that up to see if she was still playing, and some sites say that it was she retired a few years ago.
Yeah, I guess it's been at least maybe a year, but you know, the legacy that she's left in the sport, I mean,
Oh
obviously
yeah, I
lives
mean
on.
yeah,
Uh, you
the
know,
best women's tennis player ever.
hands down. And a lot of people compare her to Coco Gauff. I'm sure, like people have asked Coco Gauff, "Do you ever get tired of us comparing you to Serena Williams?" And she's like, "Well, I mean, it's an honor to be
Right, of course.
compared to one of the best in the world."
Yeah.
Um,
No, no. I don't want to. No, the
I don't
goat.
care.
I don't
No,
care about her. Are you kidding me? No, the
but
most Grand Slams winner ever. Get the fuck out of here.
speaking of Coco Gauff,
Right.
she is competing in the Miami Wells. Unfortunately, today she had a very rough day against
Yes.
Carolyn Garcia. Carolyn Garcia, I believe she was also a top contender a few years ago. She did take like a little hiatus. I don't remember particularly the reason.
Mm.
But she was like a really top contender in these Grand Slams. Um, just in the last round, Garcia took out Osaka, I believe in straight sets, which was insane to watch because Osaka is another legend who's gone toe to toe with Serena Williams. So the match today with Goff and Garcia, it was like lopsided. So the first set, Garcia takes it 6-3. There was just something off about Coco's serve. It was inconsistent, and like typically Coco Gauff has like really strong serves. Her placement is beautiful. I mean, her coverage of the court is usually there, and today it was just lacking. But it also kind of showed Garcia's like tennis IQ and her experience. Goff is younger than me.
Right.
um, you
Yeah,
know,
she's 20. And
yeah,
it's
and she may not have. Oh well, hi.
there she
you
is,
know,
folks.
she may not have as much experience as Garcia, but she did. But she did put up a really really good fight, and obviously we haven't seen the last of her, so
Well, I mean,
definitely.
I when you speaking of when you were talking about the serves and she was having trouble. I mean, typically she's got 74 aces. Um, as far as like her first serve percentage win, it's almost 70%.
Yeah.
And this, I mean, for a 20-year-old, that's elite.
Well, another person who's pretty toe to toe with her is Jessica Pegula. I think she's 5 seed right now. she beat Navarro today in straight sets. Pegula is known for her strength. Like, she is a hard hitter.
Right.
Her serves pack a punch.
Mm-hmm.
And it is one of her strengths, along with her backhand. She played Leylah Fernandez a few days ago. She did have a little bit of tough time in the beginning, just because Leylah's serves were a little bit more consistent in the first half, or in the first set. But Pegula just has such this strength and speed and coverage on the court that she was able to outplay her. Since she's definitely another one coming out of USA.
Yeah.
To really make her mark in the world of tennis.
So, with as far as the women's division, it looks like the women's division is a lot more up for grabs than the men, because it just seems
Yeah.
like, obviously with Djokovic still being here, and Alcaraz, I mean, he turned pro in 2018, so that was basically like 6 years ago. Obviously, fucking math, but
He is very new.
I mean, he's 20
yeah.
years old. As far as like this year he's 12-3 in his record, and for his career he's 167-46. Before he can actually drink alcohol in the U.S.
Yeah.
And then
Alcaraz has put up such a great record. In the Australian Open, he almost made it to the end. I think Zverev ended up beating him in the quarterfinal, I want to say.
but
But
like, it just seems like the guys that are going to be here for a long time in the men's are Alcaraz and Sinner. And it just seems like most of these guys that are playing are mid-20s and up.
yeah, there's a whole like influx of new players that have really taken the world of men's tennis, and they are just running straight through it. Like, you have Zverev. He's been pretty consistent in the US Open, the Australian Open. Now he's playing in the Miami Wells. And today he had such a tough match against Chris Eubanks. Eubanks he had a pretty good run in the Australian Open.
Mm-hmm.
He came out kind of swinging.
Right.
Eubanks is like 6'7", and Zverev is 6'6", so they're pretty matched in the athletic aspect. But Eubanks just came out so strong in the first set with his serves. He was acing Zverev left and right. And again, like he took such good control in the first set, but Zverev hits just as hard.
Right.
He hits just as well. And in the end, he was able to kind of outlast Eubanks a little bit. He did kind of lose his edge in the second set, and so Zverev was able to take it 6-3. But you have these two. You have Kachanov, you have Cerundolo, and of course, iconically Ben Shelton.
Iconic.
Iconic. No, he's great. I love him. He unfortunately did suffer a loss today. Honestly, it's underdog season.
Yeah.
Not only in March Madness, but I guess in the Miami Wells, because.
And to speak on that Zverev and Eubanks match, very rarely do you ever see tennis players over about 6'2". Like there's very, like, I don't know, Kyrgios, is that his name?
Yeah.
I think
I know who you're talking about.
I don't know how to spell it, but I know it starts with a K. I'm trying to look up his name on Nick. Yeah, this Nick Kyrgios guy. I mean, he's 6'4", but the guys that were playing, like Eubanks and Zverev, Zverev is 6'6" and Eubanks is 6'7". So as far as, and Zverev is 26 and Eubanks is 27. So like they're both very young. They're going to be in the tennis game for a long time.
Oh, absolutely. And I think one of the tallest players, I believe he's retired now, John Isner, who still holds the record for the longest running tennis match ever.
Was it
6'10".
right? Yeah. Who was?
6'10".
I think that was against Kyrgios. I think
Mm-mm.
it wasn't. Who was it against?
Oh gosh. That's a great question.
Um,
Um,
I mean, but yeah.
it was, hold on, loading. Um, okay, so it was during Wimbledon. It was Isner and Nicholas Mahut. 11 hours and 5 minutes over the
Wait,
course of 2 days.
hold on. What? 11 hours?
Over the span of 2 days, yeah. Or no, 3 days, excuse me. 3 days.
Wait, did they have to stop and then
Yeah,
continue it?
so what happened was they, I think the first day they played upwards of 6 hours. Or might have been 5. And then they had
Goodness
to,
gracious.
yeah. And so the way it ended was a 138 point tiebreaker. And it was after this game where I think they set the limit of the tiebreaker in a Grand Slam to 10. So, like, obviously it's first to 7 win by 2.
Yeah.
But if it gets to the point where you're like hitting 10, it's first to 10.
Goodness. I mean,
Yeah.
that's tennis. That's
That's tennis.
that's tennis.
Um,
Um,
but it was such an amazing display of like true athleticism. I mean, these guys really put their all out there, and we were not disappointed.
oh well, no. Um,
Definitely not.
as far as where the tennis tournament is at right now, as far as like the momentum going into the 26th, the upcoming matches today are Zverev plays Kachanov. Alcaraz is playing as well. Men, I don't know how it's Medvedev.
Medvedev.
Sure, he's not from here. What am I supposed to do? I don't know how to pronounce that.
Pronounce their name right. Um,
But
so looking at the matches for today,
as far as
um,
singles for the men's side,
yeah, yeah, that's
I really only care about singles anyway, if I'm being honest.
well, doubles is. I
um,
mean, doubles only cares about if you're in the Olympics. To be honest,
yeah, whatever.
but there's
Anyway,
only 2 matches for the women tomorrow.
yeah, they did have a lot going on today, though.
Okay.
Um, I guess I'll start with the women. Actually, before we even get to that, the number 1 seed in women's singles tennis, Iga Swiatek, suffered an absolute loss today. Literally a few hours before we started this. She lost to
Oh
Alexandrova.
yeah.
This game was just, it hurt. It hurt to watch. I'm sitting here thinking, and keep in mind, Swiatek just won at the Indian Wells.
Mm-hmm.
She just won. But today, for some reason, like, Alexandrova just had her in serves. Swiatek had no momentum. Her court coverage was just like, there was just such a lack of energy in the way that she was playing, and it definitely showed.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't even close. Like, the first set went 4-6, the second set went 2-6.
Mm-hmm.
And, she started to pick it up in the second set, but it just
Yeah.
wasn't enough. Like, by the time she started to actually gain momentum, it was 1-5.
Well, I mean, Alexandrova is 26 compared. So like, I don't know if experience had anything to do with it. I don't think so, because everything it's like I highly doubt that just one tennis match is different than the other. I mean, obviously, if it's in a Grand Slam, that it's a bigger stage and more on the line. But as
Yeah,
far as like a regular tournament goes, I mean, how do you think the difference is from just this tournament compared to, you know,
well, and this kind of like went into me like judging her. She just did win the Indian Wells, and so that could also be like why she's not putting in too much effort, because going into the next few months we have French Open, we have Wimbledon, we have US Open. Those are big Grand Slam titles. So,
Yeah.
I definitely don't think she wants to put in so much effort into
Yeah.
into the Miami Open. And yeah. I mean, she made it pretty far, in terms of her ranking points.
Oh, like
Her
there's no way, like the discrepancy is over 2,000.
Yeah.
So I
And I believe
like
2 is Sablenka.
yep, and then 3 is
Yeah.
golf, and then after that it's like 4 through 4 and down, like there's no shot. I mean, like Coco Golf doesn't really have a shot either against Swatek. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, neither of these two do as far as points, just because she has so many.
yeah, she is, I mean, and she's only 22 years old.
Yeah, and
And
golf is in that same. I mean, all those first three are around the same age too.
yeah, they're really the next big 3, if I'm being honest. Swiatek at 22, she has multiple titles under her name.
Yeah.
Coco Gauff is also pulling in ranks. I think she's 20,
Hmm.
and Sabalenka's 25, and she just won the Australian Open. So, frankly, I don't blame her for not participating in Miami Wells because, if I'm being honest, like
It's just
she,
yeah. Um,
she did her thing. She did her thing.
so
Um,
as far as the women today are concerned, like
oh
it's
yeah. So for the women playing today, um, let's see. Sakari is very good. She comes out of Greece. She's pretty consistent, and she does have very strong forehand winners.
mhm.
Um, I haven't seen too much of how she's played just because her last match was a walkover, but um, her match against Rybakina, who beat Madison Keys today. Um, Madison Keys is really consistent. She's another strong player out of the U.S.
Yeah, I've heard her name before.
Yeah,
Didn't she play against Serena a few years ago? That ups, yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, I've known that I know that she can play. I just it's um
Today, I think it was just different and conditions, maybe. I mean, I don't know. It
well, I mean,
was,
this is a hard court tournament because
yeah,
and most of the tournaments, or at least the big ones, are on grass, like Wimbledon's on a grass court.
yeah. And then Australia's on clay.
So
So,
I mean, but at the same time, you got to adjust. But if you're used to hitting grass, and like the one thing with hard court, I think, like as far as like how the ball travels, grass is the fastest, and then clay kind of like stops it in a way, but it's not. So in a way, it's like you have to figure out how to judge the ball off the bounce,
mhm.
and I mean, I think as far as like speed, it goes tennis. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
tennis.
tennis. Yeah, grass, hard, concrete, and clay.
Yeah.
What do you want me? What? It's
It's
not.
just hard court,
It's basically concrete. Okay.
but yeah, the conditions do play like a really, really big part of it.
Plus, it's in
Um,
Miami, so it's probably hot.
oh yeah, yeah, it's hot, bro. um, in terms of quarterfinals matches for tomorrow, or today, um, I think the Sakari Rybakina match is going to be very close. Um, as for the other one with Azarenka, she's a very strong contender. I mean, she is like when she gets going, like when she finds her momentum, she just like is really able to hunker down and pull through. So I kind of have my money on her, but at this point, it's really anyone's game.
Right.
Um, Wednesday is kind of where things are gonna be like balls to the walls, like it's about to go down because you have Alexandrova. She literally just beat the number 1 seed, and then you have Jess Pagula, who is the 5th seed and who plays very hard. And it'll be interesting to see how you know not only their serves, but the way that they conduct their backhand winners against each other, to see how they really like who will come out top.
Right.
It's going to be a tough matchup. And then of course you have Carolyn Garcia and Collins. Collins played really well today. I don't think it's enough to beat Garcia, in my opinion. Just because Garcia, you can tell she's on an uphill right now. Like she's definitely on an incline. With the way that she plays, you know, she's observant. She is quick to change her pace. She's not afraid to come up to the net. She's experienced. So I definitely think she has the upper hand in that one.
Because tomorrow it seems like a lot of the top 10 for the men play.
It's going to be a big day for men's tennis tomorrow.
Yeah. Alcatraz plays at 3:30. Medvedev plays at. I said Alcatraz, didn't I? Alcaraz. I didn't even know that I messed up. I just kept going.
Oh, you did it as a joke.
No, I just said it. No.
Honestly, I'm sure the poor guy gets it all the time.
Prison plays at 3:30. Watch out. The deadly number 2 is on his way.
Yeah.
He might take Musetti's life tomorrow at 3:30.
In terms of some of these matchups, let me see. Sinner he just won the Australian Open. He is at the top of his game right now. I have him honestly making it to the semis, if not the finals. Let's see. Zverev had a tough match today. And honestly, so did Khachanov. So I think that one will be
based off who has the better endurance / stamina.
It's probably gonna come down to endurance and serves. That's my prediction with that one. I definitely think Medvedev is gonna win his match because it's Medvedev. He's been consistent for the past 4 years, so I kind of have my faith in him, to be honest.
Yeah, he's been a top 5 for a long time.
A very long time.
And like, I didn't know how tall he was. I knew he was tall, but this dude is 6'6". Obviously, I mean, when you're from Russia, you also get that fear too.
And I did not know he was that tall, because I swear whenever they show him on camera, he looks like a short king.
I thought he was just like a 6'2" player.
Yeah, I thought he was,
that's not a short king.
No, okay. I thought he was like 5'10", 5'11".
No.
Because they're not doing him justice with these angles. They really aren't.
That's tennis.
That's tennis.
Yeah, in terms of, okay, I cannot pronounce this guy's name, but he's from Australia. I'm not even gonna try, but I have him.
What does it start with?
It's de Mignard. But he's from Australia. And he's playing against the wild card Mrazin. I think he's gonna take the win against Mrazin. Up in the air.
Alex Damon.
I haven't. Yeah.
I don't think that was a tough pronunciation.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay, Alcatraz. You know.
That's a better name than Deminar. Do you know how much fear someone? What's your last name? Okay, so we have a roll call here.
Prison.
Peyton Smith. Okay, check, you're here. Hmm. That am I sure I'm reading this? Um, Santiago Alcatraz. Are you in here? Are you in here? Uh,
Lord.
the roll call sheet for that for having that name definitely would put fear. If you're just on the if you're just in a interview for a job,
Well,
hi,
thank God he plays tennis.
what's your name? My name is Carlos Alcatraz. Wait, do you have your we're gonna do this drug test first before we start the interview. Here's that. We're gonna and then they get it back like no, and then we're gonna take a lie detector test. Are you a felon?
No?
Okay,
Are
no.
Are you sure?
Yes. Okay.
um
Have you ever thought about doing a crime? Just oh, ah, you got
you
me.
almost had me there.
No, but I mean, yeah. He plays Musetti tomorrow.
Yeah, and Musetti came off a pretty good win today against Shelton. He definitely had some really, really well executed forehand winners. Um, so I don't have him beating Alcaraz, but he will play good tennis.
But yeah,
That's all you can ever ask for.
I mean, I feel like that's going to be probably the best match of the day. 'Cause I feel like they did. I think they played fairly early, in their matches, today. Um,
Yeah, I personally, I think the closest match of the day is definitely going to be Zverev and Kachanov, just because with the way that they both are playing, they they've both been equally consistent, but they've both also been busting their ass to
yeah.
win their matches. Kachanov, I think, had a three-setter today, so he definitely fought very hard, and Zverev was really pushing his limits with, trying to back Eubanks into a corner and ultimately overtake him. So, um, it'll definitely be a tough match for tomorrow.
So
Um,
to to end to at least for predictions for the final. Obviously, tennis is a sport to where anything can happen. Like I mean, like any sport, but this is a sport based off of it's just you. Like Francis Tiafo, um, said that tennis is the hardest sport. I don't think it's the hardest sport, but as far as up there with hand-eye coordination, that's why it's up there.
I definitely feel like, because I did used to play tennis when I was a kid. I have to agree. Obviously, Emerald agrees too. Um, I do think tennis is up there with one of the most taxing, hardest sports, at least for single players. Just because, you have to have reaction time, your cardio needs to be there, you need to have really amazing hand-eye coordination, your tennis IQ has to be very high. Um, there's a lot that goes into making a great tennis player. And so I definitely think, in my personal opinion, it is one of the most athletic sports. Um, but again, like you are a single player,
Right.
so everything at the end of the day comes up to you.
Well,
Your
and
own.
it's also with with the conditioning part of it, with the top spin, the back spin, the slicing, the multiple, and then like with me when I played, I was a runner to where I had I'm about 6'2", so like not to flex anybody that's shorter than me or taller than me, whatever. Um, but like I was able to get court coverage, and very rarely do you see a lot of players have that skill at a young age
Yeah, and a lot of
because of
it.
with puberty and people growing. I mean, I had it kind of early on. I was very fortunate, but what?
Moving on.
Okay, but like it's court coverage is one of the most like single important things to have, and that's
Yeah, and I think I think, going off of that, like what you don't have in height, you can make up for in speed.
Right.
The thing is, it's just very rare to be able to do that. Coco Gauff, for example, has incredible court coverage. You know, she can run cross court
Yeah.
so quick and be able to make drop shots, be able to make plays, be able to hit her volleys in the way that she wants to. She hasn't been playing her best tennis, but in terms of, you know, being able to cover her court, make her shots, hit her serves, it is possible. That's just an example. But yeah, height does play a factor. I mean, if you're Christy Banks, you take 2 steps and you're across the
Right.
court, and
And like speaking of Coco Gauff again, she just recently turned 20.
yeah, yeah,
Like she turned pro in 2018. So like she was if I'm doing my math correctly, I'm not great at math by any means, but she started when she was 14.
yeah. She started up in juniors tournaments, and then she ultimately made her debut, I believe, at 15.
Yeah, like
So
I mean, I feel like she's going to be that Serena Williams for the women's division. I mean, like with these other names, as far as like starting that young and being that good that young. I mean, Swatek is another one, but I feel like there's going to be a lot more rivalries in women's tennis than there are going to be in the men's division because of how
yeah,
young these upcoming stars are. I mean, you can arguably say that the top three are already stars already,
yeah,
but
and they definitely, for them being so young and playing at this level already, they have so much more time to improve and hone their skills and, you know, get this experience by playing previous top players. For players like Alcaraz, getting to play Djokovic, getting to play Medvedev, getting to play, you know, Tiafo, getting to play like these veteran players who have consistently shown that they have the skill to stay
yeah,
relevant, to stay at the top, and to be able to have this experience for Alcaraz is so essential to why he's been able to stay on top. It's because he's getting these incredible matches. He's playing these consistently amazing players.
yeah,
And so he's able to use this experience to hone his skills, to figure out what he needs to change to improve. And it's what's kept him at the number 2 seed. So,
and I um I'm trying to see because it says that Alcaraz is from Spain.
yeah,
Now I'm isn't I think Nadal is from Spain too.
he is.
So obviously
Yeah.
when you have him basically um as your idol for the past like 15 years, I mean, it's going to as far as a representative for that country, I mean, you have a good blueprint here. Now, Nadal, I feel like most of his Grand Slams are Wimbledon.
Yeah.
He's won Wimbledon like 10 times or something like that.
Yeah, he's very consistent on grass court, and I think it's just because it's where he can really control his shots the best. Um, I found that in the US Open, he did do well. He has
Yeah.
won US Opens, but he does his best in Wimbledon because I think the grass courts are just so much better to his style of playing.
And I just feel
Um,
like he's more familiar with that court, obviously, if he's won it multiple times. Um, but at the same, but he is a lefty, so there's not a lot of left-handed tennis players either. But
Absolutely.
he, like most of his points were basically forehand. And I mean, his
Which
backhand's
is
I mean, is great, but basically, if you put on his backhand, you're going to get there's a higher percentage that you're going to wear him out.
Yeah, and I think wait, Nadal left-handed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why he was so successful, because if you think about it, he's hitting his own forehand and forcing these right-handed players to hit backhand, and a lot of players typically don't have really strong backhands.
Right.
Um
I think
and
the
so
only person that had a was Federer and Sampras
yeah.
because they
And
were just so unique with the one.
yeah, they were very consistent with their backhand, but because Nadal is a lefty, he was able to kind of force these less
Like
advanced
hard
players.
hits, yeah. Like,
Yeah, and he's hitting them with the strength of a forehand,
right.
and they're having to hit their backhand. So it's a really like unique skill that's so rare to find, but when you do have it,
Right.
you're able to excel.
And
So,
he's top 5 ever, no
absolutely.
question about it, but yeah, it's crazy how he has most of his grand slams off of one tournament.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I think as far as the women that are still in the tournament, I'm who since what, like the top 3, I don't know. You said Pagula. I think Pagula. I mean, obviously, I don't really know a lot of these players, um,
So,
but
Pagula's 5,
I really,
Takari is 8, um,
but
Rubikina's 4.
and Rybakina did win today,
Mhm.
but I mean, I do feel like tennis is now going to be like as far as in this tournament. I'm riding with Pagula just because, like you said, that she's a striker. She's someone that's going to be able to use her power most of the time, and I mean, if she can put her opponents into a and just like the only thing I feel like with her is that if she uses her power, it's gonna wear her out if there's gonna be multiple volleys in a set.
I will say with her, she definitely has good court coverage, and I think her strength is, her strength. I mean, like, for lack of another freaking syllable, but she has a very strong forehand, and when she hits her forehand winners, you're not touching them.
Right.
And obviously her serves are incredibly strong. Honestly, for me, I'm either going with Pagula or Garcia, just because watching Garcia play today, the way she adjusted from the second set 6-1 loss to Coco Gauff, she comes back, she hits hard, and she won 6-3. And that ability comes with the experience, and I think if it is Garcia Pagula or Garcia Alexandrova, um, that she will give them a run for her money.
Um,
And
but yeah, I'm going with Pugul, and
yeah,
I just feel like with the with the men's division, I mean it's hard not to try to go for Alcaraz, with him being number 2, with him being so young, um, but I mean I mean Medvedev has been in this position before, um, and I'm gonna go with Alcaraz just because of what I do know of him from and from what I've heard, and obviously with watching ESPN, when they go through the matches, I mean it just yeah I don't get to see the whole match, but I mean there's a reason why he's number 2 for a reason, and there's a
I
just
mean,
by the eye
yeah,
test.
but Yannick Sinner did just win the Australian Open, and
He
he
does have
is
momentum coming
he is
into it.
he is definitely on the up and up, and he's playing the best tennis of his life at this moment. Um, I couldn't catch his game earlier, but from what I saw in the Australian Open, he is such a fighter. He can come back from losing a set. Like, he is very, very committed, and very consistent. I don't know how his play has been in the Miami Open, but what I do know of his gameplay, he's probably going to make it to the finals. Um, so I'd probably take Sinner, and I'd probably
As far
choose
are you trying to
Medivh.
as your sleeper in a way?
Kind of. I'm trying to pick my like
1A, 1B.
yeah, kind of like my final two basically, but
Yeah.
I definitely would love to see center up there. Um, I would love to see Zverev up there too, just because I've been following him for a few years, and it's always fun to see him because he has so much power, um, and he does have finesse when he really gets his momentum. But with the mistakes that he made during the Eubanks match today, I kind of don't see it. So I'd probably take Sinner and Medvedev in the finals, um, and by then, it's in God's hands. Like,
Yeah.
Both of these players are just so incredibly amazing. Um, they can go toe to toe with each other. It's anyone's game at that point. But that's all from me.
Yeah. I mean, like tennis, it's like Andy Murray. I mean, no one expects anybody to get injured. So hopefully everyone stays healthy. Um, but yeah, Alcaraz is my choice, and I think Kachanov is going to be my sleeper just because I don't think, I don't really think Kopfer, I guess that's his name, playing against Medvedev. He's going to win. Okay, whatever. But yeah, that's it for today's episode. Lauren, thank you for joining me. Hopefully, I'll be able to get you at a better time other than right now. Um, she's also Eastern time, so this is way early and way late for her. Um,
I'm old, guys. It's past my bedtime.
so I do appreciate you doing this. I'll make sure that we get a better time next time. But yeah, guys, she's going to be our tennis correspondent, and potentially her boyfriend Seth could be another college football analyst for us.
Oh yeah, college football season.
I'm gonna be on every episode.
Okay, you have to say it like that. But yeah, we have a Alabama Roll Tide guy over there. So hopefully we get to have his
Seminoles.
okay, Jordan Travis, whatever. But yeah, hopefully they'll be able to join us when college football starts heating up after spring football, and yeah, Lauren, I can't thank you enough. Thank you for joining us today,
Yeah, thanks for having me.
and yeah, I will see you guys later. Lauren, peace out, and y'all have a good rest of y'all's day, everybody.